And I remember seeing Puff come through. That's where it started for me at. Because I remember seeing Puff come through, and Puff had like 5 bodyguards with him. And this was like one of the only times Puff ever stopped to speak to me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, back in them days. During those days. You know, Big was still alive, whatever. This one time first stopped to speak to me and shit. So, you know, I felt a little uneasy, like, what the fuck was that about? Puff don't do that shit. Walked out. Soon as I walked out the club, Tracy Waples. Love Trey Wap.
Executive, label executive, worked behind the scenes for a long time.
She outside in a Benz like, Meth, come on, get in the car. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not making a connection here. And I'm like, oh, that's Puff car. That's Puffy car. Ain't no way I'm getting in that motherfucking car.
Puff, okay. He telling me we got a kick in this shit. And he was like, yo, why don't we like go shopping or some shit? I mean, like, I pay for it. And I was like, what the fuck, this nigga just...
Later on I think that afternoon, this rapper and him, they all in the room together.
Diddy is a household name at this point. Before, he was well known in the music industry for producing and managing several incredible performers. Yet these days, his sexual exploits are drawing more attention than his music does. Diddy seems to have a penchant for pursuing young men in the business, and his technique involves enticing them into his automobile for sexual encounters. Who is Diddy, and how did he get caught doing that? Here comes the moment of truth for you.
You will definitely be upset. You will definitely be upset because you will be outdone, motherfucker.
Diddy wants to present himself to the public as a family man who values his children and spouse. But the music producer's private life paints a pretty different picture. Evidence suggests that Diddy actively targeted young, heterosexual male rappers on multiple occasions. They would be sexually active with him only because he forced them to.
Daddy.
I like when you like this, Daddy. Daddy, I like when you scrambling.
Rapper Jaguar says that Diddy was once caught by an onlooker forcing new singer Christopher Williams to the ground.
She walked in, the door wasn't locked, so she didn't think twice about just walking in. And when she walked in, she saw Christopher Williams performing fellatio.
It's one thing to engage in sexual activity with the door wide open, but Diddy took it to a whole other level of brazenness. He, too, made no attempt to halt.
Now, from what she said to me, it was disturbing because, you know, they didn't.
So, Diddy is an odd man, and odd things fascinate him. Diddy enjoys enticing straight men into his automobiles and forcing them to engage in sexual activity with him. This time, he targeted rapper Method Man in Los Angeles.
I remember seeing Puff come through, and Puff had like 5 bodyguards with him. And this was like one of the only times Puff ever stopped to speak to me.
Method Diddy approached a man when he was sitting in a Los Angeles nightclub. Diddy must have found him attractive since he made some strange advances toward him.
As soon as I walked out the club, Tracy Waples. She outside in a Benz like, Meth, come on, get in the car. I'm like, I'm not making a connection here. And I'm like, oh, that's Puff car. That's Puffy car. Ain't no way I'm getting in that motherfucker car. No fucking way.
He sent someone else to deceive Method Man into sitting in the car rather than continue conversing, and then invited him to his apartment like a normal person would. Perhaps Diddy sees this as a game and takes pleasure in putting these straight men in awkward situations. Diddy has put other straight men in similarly awkward situations, and Method Man wasn't the only one. Exhibit, a second rapper, has revealed his own personal nightmare. After a night of partying at his place, Diddy took him clubbing, only for them to discover afterward that this was no ordinary nightclub. It turned out to be a really racy gay club. Exhibit was just trying to have fun at the club like everyone else until someone pointed out that the men were kissing behind the bar. When Exhibit saw another man dancing butt naked in the midst of the club, he was shocked but didn't give it much thought at the time. Then he found out that Diddy had taken him to a gay bar under false pretenses. There has been no public confirmation of Diddy's homosexuality. He has no shame in publicly acting on his dreams, though. In fact, he acts openly gay at social gatherings away from public scrutiny. Over the years, he has dated numerous men who appear to be heterosexual. Will Smith's notorious parties have a history of shocking guests, and renowned criminal Keith D was no exception. He never anticipated Diddy, with a wife and kids, and Tupac, with his continuous stream of girlfriends, would be interested in each other.
Pac and Puff was like...
Even Diddy's former bodyguard stated that the two guys were unusually close to each other. He has also hit on a number of straight performers in the hip-hop scene, such as 50 Cent. 50 Cent is not one to shy away from talking about the truth. So when Diddy hit on him, you'd better know 50 Cent was going to recollect the whole story in the media.
Puff, okay. He telling me we got a kick in this shit. And he was like, yo, why don't we like go shopping or some shit? I mean, like, I pay for it. And I was like, what the fuck, this nigga just...
Diddy has a history of taking his love partners shopping. Appears like buying is his straight indication of letting the other person know that he thinks them attractive and wants to sleep with them. Thus, when Diddy volunteered to take 50 Cent shopping, he was appropriately taken aback. Thankfully, 50 Cent was already at that position in his career where he didn't feel threatened to turn down these aggressive advances by the hip-hop tycoon. Diddy's former bodyguard also recalled some unusual events where Diddy went shopping in an exotic bookstore with him. Gene Deal, his security mistakenly anticipated him to buy standard porn magazines, but Diddy wasn't there for simply publications. He ended up buying butt plugs.
He picked up some things from up here on my left side. And then he picked like quite a few of them down. I was like, yeah, okay. He put them in the bag. So when I went by there and I looked up there and it said,
Not only this, Gene even once caught him having sex with another young rapper in a hotel room. The two had to come out of the room with just towels wrapped around themselves. Even then, Diddy was quite nonchalant and didn't appear to mind that Gene had seen them together. These claims against Diddy aren't just unsubstantiated hearsay either. In fact, he has even been questioned by federal investigators over his sexual encounters with minor males. Most of these were young rappers he had pushed into performing gay sex with him since he had the influence to create or break their music careers. This came when it was reported that Diddy slept with a teenage usher.
We used to wake up and, pause, but like, check this out. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the.
When Diddy was in his late 20s, he and a then 15-year-old usher used to sleep in the same bed at night. Although Diddy tried to handle the situation and make it sound less weird, we can't think of one reason why it would be appropriate for a grown-up Diddy to be sleeping in the same bed as a teenage usher.
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
Usher also revealed he and Diddy would attend sexual orgies when Usher was 15, which is a crime in the United States and most nations with laws concerning minors. Diddy pushed drugs and booze on Usher while he was just a teenager. Usher emphatically denied that he would ever send his children to a school like Diddy's. The industry that Diddy is a part of thrives on the manipulation and abuse of these young men. Harlem rapper Clever discusses how emerging musicians are being abused and blackmailed by record labels and industry insiders like Diddy. After coercing these teenage performers into sexual acts, the execs film it all for posterity. In this way, the musicians are forced to comply with the record label's demands, even if it means agreeing to contracts they don't want. Many up-and-coming musicians are put in a difficult position where their only option is to be exploited by unscrupulous industry insiders. Many of these young men, like the rapper Dalit, have gotten inured to this kind of deception and have learned to accept it as normal. Especially for up-and-coming performers, the music business can be a cutthroat environment. The industry's heavy hitters are expecting favors that might leave these young guys scarred and raped in exchange for their support. Ollie Vegas, a rap artist, addressed this issue in a recent interview. These young rappers' bodies were broken into so frequently that it became customary for them. In order to get their music heard, young musicians often have to resort to selling their bodies as a form of payment. Check out what this creative thinker has to say about it.
Like, I had like 2 record deals, right? Mm-hmm. And they wanted your butt?
Diddy and other music industry execs prey on the desperation of up-and-coming musicians by forcing them to engage in sexual actions with them. Since Diddy does this so frequently, his sexual orientation is common knowledge. Straight black men are his target demographic. Given Diddy's stranglehold on the music industry, these men have little choice but to comply with his demands. Many people view Diddy's continued denial of his sexual orientation as a sign of cowardice, given his history of involvement with gay men. Only by using his lies and secrecy to put men into awkward circumstances does he find them helpful. A tweet from one user read, "Honey, Diddy is hardcore gay. I wish he'd just be open and stop all the deceitful behavior. Him and nasty-ass Christ Stokes. Some straight demons harming people cause they aren't all right with themselves. It's 2023, and men can be gay. No need for birds anymore or pop-up families. Some people think it's about time we stop justifying the heinous actions of these music industry leaders and started calling it what it is, rape. Someone put it this way, I hate how people are saying no. Diddy was just having Usher have sex with groupies who were older than him when he was like 14 years old. Pause because that's rape too. And that's it from us today. Until next time, bye.